Ladies and gentlemen, this is Coda Jacobs, the crusader and visionary behind a brighter future in wrestling. If you're an honorable and noble public servant like myself, you are listening to the Game Changer Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 5 years as a podcaster, introducing Nate the Great!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special edition of the Game Changer Podcast. This is another ACW highlight interview, and I'm very happy to be here with somebody who, known for a little bit over a year, I would want to say. He is somebody who has dressed up as a circus freak, but what can you expect from that? He is honestly one person that I have definitely given a lot of credit for on the show to get me into and appreciating more the fan interaction part of wrestling. He is... Some people know him as Matt. Today he's known as Limpy McGee for obvious reasons, and many of you know him as Salem Crane. It's good to have you on, man.
That's a hell of an introduction. Limpy McGee. Yeah.
Let's just hope that one doesn't catch on, because I guarantee there's
I'll hide it. Nobody will know.
This is a podcast exclusive. So one thing I always ask, and it's still something that a lot of people will want to know, and for those of you that might be wondering why there's so much commotion in the background, we're actually recording as they're setting up the ring. So
the life.
So this is one of those things that's going to give this podcast a little bit more characteristic to it. So I think it works out perfectly. But what got you so interested in professional wrestling, and also what was like the one moment where you decided this is what I want to
do? Yeah. Okay. You're going to hear the name Ryan Cross probably quite a bit. That is my cousin. He's been in it my entire life, as far as I can remember, pretty much high school. He owns SSW. He's been on Sunday Night Heat countless times. He's traveled the country, everywhere. Impact, everything. He's amazing. That's who I looked up to. That's who got me to watch wrestling as a kid. I remember going to his house countless times, and his entire room was just decked out in all of the old magazine posters. Like every wall was covered. Like everything, even on the ceiling. And the first one he tried to point out to me was Bret Hart, which didn't quite bite onto me as much as Razor Ramon. So when he got me hooked on Razor Ramon is when I fully went in, and I have that classic memory of him and Sean, WrestleMania, Ladders.
Oh my gosh!
Really,
all that good stuff. Was that what got you hooked on to want to be a wrestler?
To be a wrestler, I was an athlete my whole life, so I played a lot of basketball and was always interested in it. And I waited a while, actually. So I was always at shows. I went to countless SSW shows, so you see all the great guys there over my whole life. Like Ice Pick Vic, you got JP out in the Midwest, Marche Rocket, Ruff, Crossing Yabo, Crossing Luxon. All those guys were the ones that really get my interest there. But I was always just still playing basketball and still trying to go after that because I love that just as much. And then I got really into film and movies, which is what I try to tie in with my promo work. So that's why I'm really keen on edits and music, and I get really particular in what I choose. But once I actually wanted to do it, I was at a Pro Wrestling Blitz show down in Chicago to meet Razor Ramon. And oddly enough, I walked in and Cross was working the show, and I actually didn't know. We hadn't talked in a little bit, longer than normal. We usually keep tabs on each other and see how life's going and everything. But his little son is Jordan Bisiglia, Jordan Cross. And I saw him in the line, and then suddenly we get waved up, and we're talking for a while, and then out comes Cross, and we're talking, and then I actually got waved to the front and got to meet, I just paid for Hall, because I was a cheap retail worker at the time, but Nash and everybody was there. Nash, Bischoff, and him were at the table, and then got to hang out with those three, and then Cross got me to meet Steamboat, and Bubba Ray, and then we got to talking after his match. And I just it finally hit me that I had to work him once. I absolutely just had to work my cousin one time in front of people and not just be a fan. I always had this interest in entertainment and sport. And for some reason, it took me until age 25, 24 to realize that, I could probably give this a whirl. I just guess I never really knew where to pursue it. And I moved a lot, like in my early 20s, and then came about this area, the Fox Valley, when I was really settled here, I guess, when I was 21, 22. And then Jerry from Front Row Mafia was a regular at my family video that I was managing.
Oh.
So this is where it gets very fun. Me and Jerry would talk on the daily. He'd come in all the time, and we got really close, got to like know his family, his kids, and he knew my interest in wrestling. And it started with Sega Dreamcast talk, and I could not find Warzone. What was the WWF one with the we could do? Was it Royal Rumble? Yes,
I think so.
It was WWF Royal Rumble for Sega Dreamcast. I'm a huge Sega nerd. What killed them still to me is that you can burn all their games. And of course, when it was dead, I'm trying to burn all those games, and I can't get that one. I can't find it anywhere.
Oh.
And Jerry is talking about it. He comes back to the store within 20 minutes and gives me his copy. So then I just went nuts playing that. This was like a week after the Blitz show where I saw Cross. And then Jerry then invites me to my first ever ACW show. And it was Dylan's return, actually, after he'd been released. Oh. So it was just very odd timing how this all lined up, is that Dylan's fighting back. And like my wheels start churning. I'm really starting to think. And it's kind of, a 20-year-old college kid, you have a lot of excuses, I feel like. And I was just kind of over that point of my life. And I just dove in. So I went to the show. My boy Adam Grace main evented with Colin. Do you remember that match at all? Have you seen that one back?
I don't think I've seen that one. I have seen them headline a couple at other shows. I remember a WPW show in Stevens Point where Colin won the title, but then immediately lost it back to Grace.
I was with good. I think, did Kalucha chop you that day?
I think that might have been the day where I got the chops, which is still one of those videos that a lot of people are just like.
That was my first exposure to you. Yes, he showed me that in one of our many car rides. But no, it was. I remember that show mostly because of Chase McCoy and Avalon had a crazy barn burner before intermission. I think they were on before intermission, and I was so confused. And then I felt so bad for Brandon and them having to go on like afterward, and they still brought it. Like that was like they were the first two to really take a liking to me. I feel like so that's how we've blossomed into be like such good friends. Breaking in, it's always hard at first, but. I talked to Dylan with Jerry right after that show. That was kind of the game plan. And he told me, classic line, message the Facebook page. Yeah, all right, yeah, I gotcha. Hopefully this isn't a runaround. I'll do it. And then Big Seth actually was a mutual friend with me and Jerry. So Gambino himself talked to me quite a bit, and he got me in within a week. They were in the middle of a class. The old camp where we trained had actually burnt down, and they were in the process of moving to a new one. So I started in the middle of a class that was already going. So they told me to bring my workout clothes, but I was going to have to really catch up. So I just got tossed into the mix right away with some guys who had a little bit of reps yet. One of them being one of my best friends in the world, Ethan. So Ethan Matthews, that White Claw drinking guy, formerly a member of Delirium. That's like a swear word around these parts.
I definitely do want to talk about that because I have heard bits and pieces about this, but I think I need to know somebody who actually was a part of that.
Yeah, I was a big part of that.
But obviously, you mentioned the fact that you are in a class where it's like mid-season.
Yes.
Was it easy for you to kind of catch up to them, or was it kind of one of those things where it took a little bit of time before it started clicking?
I feel like I was very lucky. Like I wasn't in the shape at all I should have been in when I started. Like now I'm in much better shape. I've worked really hard just to get to the decent look I'm at. Like I'm not ripped. I'm not anywhere. Like I still could do better. You can always do better. I've gotten really into that realm of life as I've gotten older. But when I started, I was a fat shit. I didn't like how I looked, and I was real banged up. The bumps came easy. So like Will Nye with your good old Wild and Randy was the first one to bump me around. I remember that very clearly, and I got to that really quick. Like the bumps never bothered me, so I got that going real quick. Flip bumps. Then we got into like just the usual stuff. So you start arm drags, hip toss, body slam, the Memphis Open. All that came very easy. I froze so hard when we just got to backdrops. Like I paused.
Oh.
So just that classic Ric Flair bump where you're just running to a guy and he throws you over his head. For some reason, I was stuck on that for like 3 weeks. And then Johnny Smash, he used to wrestle quite a bit. And he slowed down these last couple of years, of course, but he was actually the one to show up with our mutual friend Nathan Gust, and they got me over that fear within about 15 minutes, and then we just kept doing it, so it became routine. It's like I froze. It took me like 2-3 weeks to get over that dumb little fear. I would get up on the guy's shoulder, I'd be in the air, and I'd freeze. I just wouldn't. And now I don't, like, I'll take any dumb bump now as long as I'm safe. I don't do anything unsafe, but I'm not ever scared to take a bump, a foot bump, anything dumb is what some people would say. But that really opened my eyes, I'd say, is that I have this mentality of just going live when I help out at camp.
Oh, sure.
Instead of getting in your head, if you get in your head on something, you're never going to do it right. So to try it, go live, and it's going to be okay. Like, the guys are going to protect you, like, especially if they have to be trained.
Yeah.
Got to be trained, got to know what you're doing. But going in, who got me really rolling is Nick Colucci. Who better to learn from around this area than Nick Colucci? Him tossing me around, I got more than comfortable, especially after Smash and Dust. Took that extra time to get me over my one little fear. And then the ball just kept rolling. Me and Ethan spent a lot of time together getting extra reps in. We just became super close, like, instantly. I remember even the first time meeting each other, we just didn't stop talking. He was the first one to really make me feel welcome at camp even, and then Colucci's Colucci. That's easy. Dylan's whatever. I'm going to try real hard not to bury anyone on here, but that would be the one.
That was the one rule that we had this. We're not going to try and bury anybody unless it's Joey Avalon. Because he's the one that's got the shovel. He's burying everybody every night.
He likes baseball, though, so he's all right.
That's fair. At least he's got one redeeming quality.
He drinks those White Claws, too, though. All these guys with their White Claws.
Oh, man. So, obviously, training goes on.
Yep.
Everything seems to be running up. They let you know what your first match is. What's kind of going through your mind?
It's mental torture. It's like me with where I've gotten, even with my look. I'm always, again, very particular. And by the time I was debuting was the first ever WrestleCon. I got thrown into the Classic Battle Royal. That's your usual first spot through that academy. And I did not look how I wanted to look. I did not have the gear I wanted to have. I didn't have the paint I wanted to have. So I'm already mentally just beating myself up. Like, looking at it now, it's a little royal spot. Like, I'm in there for maybe 3 minutes. Got a couple chops in, you sell some tickets, you're all excited, and just being in front of that many people your first go, like, there was like 1,200 in that building
at least, and
I worked the lines. Like, I'm still a security kid helping out, so I'm taking pictures for everybody. I took your picture with Bret Hart, like, everybody. I was taking.
No, that's the crazy thing. I never.
You weren't at that one?
I was there. I never got a picture with Bret Hart.
So
sad. I think he was like the one guy there, and I think Kevin Thorne. And I was thinking, those are the two guys. He's one of the nicest names, I'd say. Well, I just remember Kevin Thorne literally taking his rod. I was working with AJ and Chris at their booth, and we were just doing the recording. And unfortunately, my crack was showing. He took his cane. He literally just pokes it right me in the butthole. And I'm just, it's just one of those things where it's like,
the crack's showing, you're either throwing a paper ball in it, a quarter, or you're putting a cane in it. It's got something.
But I got pictures with Carlito and Mr. Anderson in my first exposure.
Carlito was jacked.
Oh, he was. He's still jacked.
Yeah, he looked great. It was 2 weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that 2 weeks.
He was so jacked. He worked to Smash that show. Actually.
Yep, I think I do vaguely remember your appearance in the.
Well, good. I'm glad it wasn't forgettable. I rocked. I looked like my boy Ruthie out there. I looked like Mini Ruthie. That's what they were calling me. I just looked like a lumberjack. I had on stupid plaid pants, suspenders, and a tank top. I looked like garbage. And I had my wrestling shoes. I didn't even have my boots that I ordered. They didn't show up on time. Just, it's hilarious now. Like, it's funny to look at now, especially the fat change. It feels good, but to have the look I want together, it's good to reflect on.
Oh, definitely. So, it's also good to get that kind of confidence after a while, because obviously I'll actually show this one. This is going to be a major spoiler for some people. I just recorded a comedy sketch where I was playing the role of Cupid.
Okay.
And it was one of those things where literally they told me you're going to be having a diaper. Would you mind being shirtless and just having stuff like that? And I'm very self-conscious about my body, but as soon as I got done with it, I was kind of like, this is not as bad as I think it's going to be. And I reference Chris Farley quite a bit during that performance, because
most confident Wisconsinite of them all.
Oh my gosh! I mean, he didn't have like the best body, but he had no shame in hiding the fact that he was that way. So it's one of those things where it's like, as time goes on, you feel more comfortable, you kind of grow into it, and it just makes more sense as time goes on, and you just think like, okay, I can do this.
Yep.
This is totally fine.
That was the great thing. Like, even it being a little royal spot, I remember coming in, we had a little dive spot. So, like, I get tossed out. My classmate Brad gets tossed out, and then we catch Duan. It was Super D. If anybody remembers my boy Super D. Wore a mask, and he got thrown onto us from, I think it was Big Mike Morris. He actually threw him onto us. And then Weimer was waiting for me behind the curtain. Josh Weimer on ACW suits. And just asked me, right away, just hugged me and asked me how it felt. And it's like, my first thing out of my mouth was, it felt like home. Like, I feel like it really clicked there that I felt like I could do it. And then it rolled on to the next, like two shows later is when I had my singles one. It was in August with Super D. And we put a good match, like really good match together. For a first singles, I was really proud of that thing. Like, whipped out the call back to Razor Ramon. I did a fall away slam for my cutoff. Did the cool sit-up that he would do after, just copying people in wrestling. That's kind of what we do. But yeah, it's flown by. Like, it's been 4 or 5 years or so, something like that, and it's just crazy to look back on. And
gosh, it is crazy as we're heading up to this next Water City Wrestling Con to see how far the company has kind of grown since then, how many people have come through the curtain, have come through that, and that's something definitely that we're very proud of. So let's get into talking about delivery. Because here's the thing about it. I do remember bits and pieces of this, and I remember somebody talking to me about this, and that was, I think, my first exposure to you with that Salem Crane character.
Yes.
So it was one of those things where it felt like it was a blip. It was there, and then next thing you know, it was gone. What happened with that? What?
Oh, God. All right. It was a lot of fun creating. So, like, we had this idea at camp that with me, it's the whole Carney thing, crazy Carney guy. I want to get this group together and just wreak havoc. This was pre-retribution for everybody out there. We just wanted to be feared. Like, we had 4 guys. There hasn't been a faction in this area with 4 guys in quite a while. So Dylan and Colucci helped us put it together. So it was me, Ethan, and we had one of the trainees, Kenny at the time, and Shannon Fink. So it was us 4 very green kids. We don't really have any reps yet to be in this faction. So I'm a little nervous about it because we're just kind of getting thrown in. A lot of 8-man tags. When you put together an 8-man tag, there's a lot of moving pieces and never doing one before, and you just get thrown in. It's scary. Scary as all get out. You're already scared doing anything when you're really green and new. Just thinking about moves and not like where I feel like I've gotten now. I just thrive on the interaction. Like, I love getting the fans revved up. Whether I'm a baby face or a heel doesn't really matter to me. I just love the interaction and the storytelling aspect. If a move goes awry, we can cover it nowadays. Like before, if I screwed something up, I'd panic. I'm like, what do I do? What do I do now? Delirium, there was a lot of that. We had a lot of mishaps. Again, 4 green kids get thrown in. And our first match as a team was at Con 2. And it was myself, Ethan, Kenny, and Fink versus Bogger, Colucci, Dylan, and Hurricane Helms. Oh. So, nervous, real scared. Don't feel like we deserve the spot, really mentally hard on myself. And then I don't, again, not going to bury anybody. I'm going to try real hard not to bury anybody, but the way the match went was not good for anybody for learning, somehow it was still entertaining to it was not that's one of those things. It was a big wake-up call for me, is when fans are still telling you afterward how much they enjoyed the match or that it was really great. I can't believe, you guys are such a great young talent. We got told a lot afterward versus how we felt when we walked back through that curtain and you get lectured and chewed out and told all the things you did wrong. So as a wrestler, when you're in there and something goes wrong when you're real new, you just really, I take it real mental, and I really beat myself up. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, or even in one little slam, if I do it a little off or it doesn't feel crisp, I'm just like, God, it could have been that much better if I would have landed my Blue Thunder Bomb just a little better. Like, I landed Colucci on my Blue Thunder Bomb, on my boot. You watch it back, nobody cares. The fans ate it up. It was fine. Hurricane beat us up pretty good, especially I felt bad for Shannon. Shannon was a little too lively for a green kid, caught him with a few big shots and paid for it. He got a lot of receipts, a lot of potatoes, and then who gets tagged in to take all the rest of the stuff? This guy. So luckily, Hurricane wasn't. I didn't have a problem with him. Like there was a lot of talk after that. Like a lot of tension when we got back in the curtain. But he was really great to me the rest of the night because I feel like I listened. I took everything he said on the fly. I took his shine. I took his finish. I took the choke slam after the bell because we went over, which I don't think we should have at the time either. But I'm not the booker. No. That's that Dylan guy over there. You guys can yell at him. But it was the best learning experience. That's where I've gotten with it now. It was the best learning experience I've had since I started. Because going in that fearful is already a bad mindset, and when you go in that way, it's bound to go wrong, I feel like. And it did for the technical aspect. But then you, again, like I said, all the fans still were entertained. They got to see the Hurricane up on top at the end of it, even though he didn't win the match. He got his choke slams in. He got all of his moves in. He got to do his superhero shtick. Everything ended up coming together. Like everybody always has had a worse match. It's not the worst one I've ever had. It's not the best one I've ever had, but it's by far the best learning match I ever had. From there, originally that night, a little spoiler, is one of our mates was not at call time. He was about 3 hours late. So I had Chase McCoy on the phone, and he was going to be the surprise member of Delirium that night. We had it was supposed to be Stacey Shadows, or Chase McCoy. And I had Chase on the phone. He was ready to go. And then right when we were about to start calling out the match, that tag member finally showed up to that show. Like, it's the biggest show of the year. It's your first match, and then your first 8-man, and you're working a name. So we were the tensions that whole day. It was just you're already nervous, and then all that happens. Then, of course, not getting Chase that night, but then next show, boom. We needed that. We needed that veteran in there to teach us and help us out. And Chase, for me, was that guy. That was one of the, again, like I said, that my first ACW show, match that sticks out like a sore thumb, Joey Jet Avalon, Chase McCoy. So now I'm thrilled. I get to learn under somebody that entertains me as a fan and get to go, as a green kid, going to all these other shows just to watch, learn, set up, and tear down. Chase was one of those guys that stuck out to me. Because he's weird, like I am. He bites ropes, and he does weird paint guy things and weird masks, and he's just insane. He was insane. Chase, he was the real psycho. He was one of the most entertaining guys I've ever seen around these parts. I loved Chase. And we did a lot of matches together. For that whole year, it was a lot of Big Cat Bogger and J-Cash when the Players Club first really formed. So we really got rolling with them. And that's where my big learning curve, I feel like, really hit. Because I had Chase, and then J-Cash actually is one of the people who's taught me the most in my entire career. He really got my wheels churning in my brain and thinking about helping my teammates out on the fly if they're forgetting something. Again, it was originally 4 green kids, and now we're at a part where me and Ethan are getting reps together, riding all these other random, not the best shows sometimes, but you got to do that when you're new. And then you got Chase and J-Cash barking at you in the ring, teaching you that it's okay to work on the fly. And especially after getting those critiques, J-Cash is so good at getting them every match recorded and sitting and watching it back with you and saying you could have done this here, you could have done that there. And then a good year, I think a whole year feud with them after that was just the blessing of me getting Delirium really rolling. We never had a tag title match. Never. That was the one thing for us that I'm not a belt mark by any means, but that was a big payoff for them was they moved on and they got their tag title shot, and we just kind of dissolved. We kind of look at it now that it's never dead. So Ethan and I have actually brought it back a couple other places, even though he's got the White Claw thing is Ethan, to a T. Sure. But if we ever wanted to bring it back, we could. Yeah. Chase, unfortunately, we haven't seen. Chase doesn't really wrestle anymore. Shannon kind of just disappeared after the Hurricane thing. So he was there for us for ACW shows for the Delirium that year after, but he then faded off. So then Chase and I had tagged a couple times, but mostly me and Ethan kept that really rolling. And then the following con is when Dylan and Ginger pulled the plug on it. They just wanted it to dissolve. And we actually originally recorded a promo right after the match where Chase and I beat the hell out of each other in the locker room, but we never aired it because he was kind of on his way out. And then again, that kept the door open. If we ever did want to bring it back, we could. But I'm glad I'm happy that I got to experience. I'm glad we didn't ever bring it back. It's really 8-man's hard.
No, definitely can agree to that. So it feels like that with Delirium, it was one of those things where it could have been something great had it not been for a couple of bumps in the roads, but it still panned out to work for you and Ethan because you both definitely still, came out on the other side on this some quote unquote mess.
Yep.
And you become different stars there. I mean, Ethan Matthews, I've definitely been a fan of his work, and
good.
As time goes on, it's one of those things where it's like loving Crane.
Yep.
So I talked about the story. This is one of my favorites, but this is again. I think we need to hear the other side of what was going through it. So the story of our first interaction and kind of something that got snowballed from there, because then it goes right into talking about Nathan Gus too, who I think definitely started really making the Salem Crane character start to click. So it was a show in Merrill, Wisconsin. I remember that. Of all places, Merrill, Wisconsin. And I can't remember if you were wrestling with this Willie or Randy.
Local Dad.
Oh, Local Dad. That's right.
Local Dad, Eric.
Yeah. That's right. And I remember mainly, I think I was one of those fans that was just heckling you throughout the entire deal. Yeah. You're going jaw-jacking back and forth with me. Local Dad beats you 1, 2, 3. And I'm thinking okay, it's over. I could just jaw-jack him just a little bit. Then you just tell me, get my jacket. Okay, and I'm just like, is he serious? Okay.
I still do that because I that blossomed into a thing I love doing so much now is because I won't tell, you always got the security guards that are told to get the ring gear after.
Oh, yeah.
Or right when you take it off.
I do have one awesome moment where I think that we were planning on doing another moment. The guy tried to grab the jacket. He was like, put my jacket back on my corner.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch my jacket.
I go full Step Brothers usually. And just, don't touch it. Every time. That's my go-to. So it makes me laugh. I love it so much. But yeah, I just kind of tried it that night and you did. So it was that was after first interaction there. I remember there was one guy just going at me on this side about my makeup. And then you going at me the whole time. I was bouncing back and forth, and it was perfect timing because that's really for me where I was starting to click was that year. Beginning of that year as a singles guy, and the crowd interaction stuff really clicked for me. And I love Local Dad to death, but I messed with him a lot in that match. I changed it right away. I slid out maybe 8 times I think just to go keep I just kept getting out of the ring in the open. I wouldn't touch him, I wouldn't lock up with him. I just slid out, talk to you, slid out, talk to that guy. I remember sitting down, refusing to get in the ring till 10 or 9.5. And then a great thing for him too was he was one of those guys that came through the academy, older dude, wanted to finally do it. I had the pleasure of helping him at camp. I'm there every week, and then making him listen and work on the fly like that was really fun. But the jacket thing, man, I love it's either it goes win or lose, because if I lose, I can just grab it just pouting and just being a big baby. If I win, I can really demand it. That night, I just had to go out, you win or lose, that you had to get my jacket for me, and you played along. It was good.
I think it might have been one that took it a step further, because I just remember just dropping it, stepping on it, and I just remember you mouthing me, it's like drop my jacket. And I'm just doing the Oscar patch strutting away. Chris Lockman is just laughing his ass off in the crowd. I'm sure you pick up the jacket and you say I'm going to go and you're going to pay for my dry clean. And from there, it was just so funny, because every single time we saw each other, it's you got the jacket today? Yep. You want me to grab it? We'll see what we can do. Because I remember we did it one time here in Tanner's. I tried doing the same thing we did in Merrill, but obviously we were cut on time.
The previous one, I worked Jay Cash that night. I had no idea Gus was going to be by you when I came out to talk. Oh my God,
this was one of my favorite ones.
So then Gus is there, and then I have to start running around this entire building as he's chasing, trying not to laugh. He just completely cuts that interaction off, and I'm oh God, what do I do? Run.
That was one of my favorite deals. I just remember we were starting to do the jaw jack deal. Yep. Then Gus just comes chiming in, and you're just okay, man. And then literally he and I were just us Nate's got to stick together. It's cool. And then, of course, we get that interaction.
That was when I started calling you Grundy.
That's right.
The beginning of Grundy.
And then, of course, things come full circle, and I'm still hoping we got at least a video or a picture of this. This was awesome, where after you turned face, we had that moment where I'm just, applauding you do the standing deal. You just have arms out. You're just come on, man, come on.
Like full embrace.
That was one of those things.
The other one I remember very clear. I don't even remember who you were with that night. It's one of my favorite matches I had in the Gust feud was the one where it was TJ's last go.
Oh,
we got
oh,
TJ.
my gosh.
That's one of my favorite matches I've ever had. Like, TJ, really, they were telling him, with that chair, you have to murder me. Like, you have to. Don't be TJ and be the nicest guy in the locker room. You're always the nicest person. TJ is the nicest person I know in this world. And he's just like, he killed me. Like, he really laid it in and then hits me with that stunner. Then feed right into the Gust code breaker, and I remember rolling out and they're having their celebration, but I just kept crawling to you and just jaw jacking at you. I remember throwing your friend's chair across the venue.
That too.
I remember that part. And, like, the look on his face was the best. So that made up for me getting my ass kicked.
Oh my gosh. And just even like you just be like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, I could say it there. I did. I dropped a couple bombs.
That's fine. Yeah. It was one of those things where it's like, this feels real. I think that I even pitched the idea that would it be kind of cool if, I don't know if there would even be like a manager thing to go right, where I actually put the jacket on, you're still a heel.
Should have.
And just, that would have been amazing. I mean, that's something for a later time, but it was still one of those things.
I'm a bad guy most places, so I'm sure I'll come back around.
Oh, I do actually.
I'll just turn on you. That'll be my
There we
heel
go.
turn the next time. Sorry, Dylan, I'm booking myself now. Big league over here.
Booking myself. I'm just going to beat up this announcer right here. Hey, Water City Wrestling Con needs a big shocker.
Just instant, yeah. Have my match and just go at you right away for no apparent reason. Nobody really gets it. Why is he attacking the ring announcer? I thought he was a good guy.
So, I will say, this was something that I was tempted to tell you over Facebook, but I think it'd be funnier telling you in person. So, last year was the Frontline Pro Show that they did in Marshfield. And one of the things I keep telling people is that this was a sucky time for me because I got stood up for a date. So, literally, AJ and Chris were like, you should just come to the Frontline Pro Show in Marshfield. And I just came in. I even told Ben about this, and he was like, hey, dude. You gotta understand women, but hey, at least you got wrestling. It's one of those things where, to this day now, it feels like wrestling still is always going to be a positive because it's not going to mistreat me, it's not going to stand me up. It's going to be one of those things that's always going to be there to either put a smile on my face or just keep me entertained, make you forget about reality. And one of those matches, you definitely did that because I was not expecting you to come out. I think it was during a four-way match with I think it was Ethan Matthews. I think you came in, you surprised they came out. And all I just remember was like, no, not him, no.
I do remember that. Yeah, Ben had me do a couple run-ins there, which was really fun. Because run-ins, I don't have to remember anything. I could just come in and beat people up.
Which you did.
More fun, yeah. I think I went at good old Zach Hendricks.
Oh, no, that was Zach Hendricks.
Yeah,
that's right.
Me and Zach, like, he caught me with the good one, so then I caught him with the good one. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember, like, they screwed up my cue that night, I suppose, but I was like, whatever. I was at the curtain with Brock, just, like, waiting to go in. I'm like, I think they screwed it up, but I'm just going to go in. It didn't matter. Beat him up. I remember hearing you and Winkle, good old Bob Winkle, just chirping me. He chirps me all the time.
It's just one of those things like, yes, true fans are here.
It always feels good. It's the best, like, even, like going to random places and now even just when my music hits, getting booed before I'm even out there. Like, it's rewarding. Like, I know I'm not a huge deal by any means. I'm just this local indie guy, but just to have that little bit of impact that it's not completely forgettable. Just always that classic leave wrestling in a better place and just entertain them fans, as Jay Cash would say.
I mean, case in point, I still have that video of you literally coming down. My friend's just recording us having that shot.
You tagged me in that picture. I remember just my family. I was staring up. I was so red. My back hurt so bad. That was the beauty of like the me and Gus feud. That was like your coming out beginning. Like originally we had pitched for it because when I trained and was like still like I'm in there 2 to 3 days a week. I'm always I love the wrestling academy. I love being with Colucci's one of my best friends in the world now. Dylan, of course. I will make fun of him all the time. I hate him, but I love him. I just love being there. I love seeing the lights click on kids when they really start to get it. But the guy who did that for me through and through was NateFNGreat. He took so much time with me. For some reason, he didn't like me right away. I remember just drilling me on certain things. There's one of the blow-up drills Dylan had me go through, I was just doing a bunch of up-downs, and then constantly just feeding into headlock takeovers with Gus. Like I did it was like 10 straight minutes of just getting a headlock takeover, slide down, head scissors, kick out, just over and over. And Gus got me through that. That's when I was finally getting less fat. And then my cardio really started to hit in-ring, because in-ring cardio is a completely different world than any gym workout you can do. But it started there. He was one of the ones to really get me to be what I started to become, is Nathan Gus. So we wanted to work each other in the program. Somehow that zombie man became a huge baby face. And it finally became an opportunity where we could do this. And we just had so much fun. Like, it was so... I think that's why it worked so well, is it was the most fun I've had. Because it was just us messing around and punching each other in the face and chopping each other. There was the night of the TJ one. He had a real upset stomach, so I told him, I'm gonna make you puke. I'm please don't mess with my stomach. So we're fighting on the outside. I get him on the ground, and I just laid the stiffest boot into his belly and just pressed on it, and I'm just telling him to throw up. And nope, man, nothing came out, but it's hopeful. I've never seen it. It's like on YouTube. It's real gross. I didn't really want to see it, but it was just being able to mess around with one of your good friends in wrestling. Again, him and the two nicest guys, I feel like. Gus always did so much, way too much. Always helped him. He was the example for me, though. He still always helped set up, tear down, posters everywhere. He was a ticket man for years. He used to do posters all the time, and then he just creating the posters, the artwork, and everything. He just cared so much about everything, every little detail into a show. And he would do whatever. He'd show up to WPW with me, Frontline with me. We'd go together, and he would anything that was on the show, he was willing to do. He would ref. He would work the show. There, he just wanted the show to go on for his friends, and it's so fun to watch. Being able to just let loose and let our characters and ourselves thrive through that was so much fun. And I feel like that's why it worked. It was everybody knew we were having a blast, and our chemistry in ring just clicked. So we were such similar characters that event we always wanted to end up as a tag team. I feel like it would have been amazing. But
it would have been an interesting time.
He was ready to go. Obviously, he was ready to retire, but it was, oh my God. That was why when we did our big blow-off here, it's exactly a year ago, we did our big warm embrace, and we hugged, and then did the whole thing. Everybody thinks I'm a good baby face now, and just pulled him in and DDT'd him right again. It was good. The best was that's when I had to have recorded for myself, because I knew it was the last time we'd get to do something, is hearing us swerve the boys. Dylan and Binder thought we just shot and made me a baby face without ever getting it cleared or that being their direction. And then when I hit that DDT, just hearing Dylan's hysterical laugh in the background that he got fooled. I'm a nobody, and I fooled Showtime, SmackDown Dylan.
I thought you were going to say Showtime Eric Gunn. I was like, I think we got the wrong guy there.
Dill, good old Twitcher streamer Dill now. Everybody tune in.
That was something that, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see because of
snowfall, man.
Yeah, that's
brutal.
That's
a foot, I think.
But from what I saw with the match that was recorded, I thought that match was absolutely phenomenal. It was great, and it was definitely the big blow-up match. And of course, like I said, this is kind of coming out to what coming up next, which was you versus Big Bad Wolf himself, Joey Avalon.
Big Bad Wolf.
Honestly, the series of matches that you guys had were not only just impressive to me, but it definitely did show that you were coming into your own as a character. You definitely were showing that you were improving everything. I think you even said that it was either because of Gus or because of Joey, that you definitely knew how to make chops a lot more vicious. I know this because I talked to Joey one night. He's like, his chops are getting meaner and meaner as time goes on.
It was Gus' fault. There was a show we did together where it was the night after our TJ match, and then Gus is randomly my ref the next night. We're doing a really random booking. I don't even remember where we were at, honestly. But he's ref, and the guy I'm chopping, this poor guy, I just thudded him. Just a meat cleaver across the chest, no good. It was just a bad chop. And Gus just goes, you gotta stop. As the ref, that's not good. You gotta stop. Don't chop anymore. And then I just kept doing it. And kept doing it. That's all I did, the whole match. I didn't do much in that match. I wasn't fun to do. I don't think I was very fun to do. Whatever. I had a lot of fun. I just wanted to perfect them because I felt like it worked for me, and it's Gus's fault. I will always blame Gus. I will blame him forever, and Corey too. Joey Jet Avalon with his chops here at 10 when we did that triple threat with me, Colucci, and him. Oh my God! There's one he got me with out here that is just his meat cleaver hand just sat on my chest for 5 days. It was so heavy and dense. Dense is the perfect word for that one. That man is God, that chop hurt.
So it is kind of one of those things where, not necessarily receipts, but it's definitely one of those things that's like, okay.
Friends. I always feel like it's when it comes to Chop Town, I always blame. Because if it's with your friends, you can be a little more rough. I always wanted chops. I don't know why. I just like the noise, and I love the reaction. That Ric Flair thing never goes away.
Oh,
like Shawn Michaels would do it in his fire-ups. Like all these guys you watch forever. Even now, you got Moxley going to town, just chop, punch, chop, punch, chop, punch. It's just, I like it. I've always been entertained by it, so I wanted to implement it in my own stuff. And then punches. I don't like when a guy doesn't have a good working punch. I feel like everybody's just resorts to forearms, and for me, I want to go see a good working punch. For me, the guy who got me my first big tip of advice on it was your boy Sadis. Even watching his little mannerisms in between. I remember one of my first shows, I sat in with him and Colucci talking out their match, and just the little bits when he would throw a good mean one, he would do this like his hand hurt, just these little tedious things. Where he's selling his own hand, oh my God, that hurt me too. But then he wasn't a big slappy guy on all of his punches, so I try not to slap on all my punches. Everything, the little bits of advice you get from all the vets and have been so rewarding, and it just starts to culminate. It's all getting that all together. And luckily, where it started to work for me was the time where I had to work with Avalon. We can go on and on about as long as you want to record this, because I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I don't think I've ever been that challenged or that rewarded at the same time. He's so giving and cares so much about every match he has, and he goes to town every night. Whenever he has a match, he will go forever. Some people might say sometimes too much, but I don't think so. No. He steals the show everywhere he is. He is the best.
I would definitely make the remark that he is one of the best Wisconsin-based wrestlers that has never been signed by a major promotion.
I completely agree. It makes me sick that he's not on TV, but at least I get to wrestle and hang out with him still, I guess. Right. Maybe that's selfish. I don't know. I got real life with these guys too, and he's one of the best friends I feel like I've made in these last 2 years. He really took a liking to me when I started getting my reps and going places, and he's given me some of the best advice I've ever had, and being able to piece together really good transitions. That was a big thing I feel like was in our match series. We had our 3. The first singles one was one of the biggest tests I had. It's one of the stiffest punches I ever threw. We still say tooth dust. I kind of knocked one of his teeth through. That was bad. But just these crazy sequences of running and ducking and diving and all this stuff for that one big payoff. So it's not just the guy eating you up or shining up too much or a heel going too long on his heat. He made it very equal. He took that story into consideration on where I was starting to kind of rise up on this roster versus him he's Joey Avalon. He knows he's the man. Everybody knows he's the man. But for him to be that giving for me I'll never forget it. He didn't have to do that. He could have eaten me up and I would have taken it. But no, that's just who he is. He wants to have the best match he can every show, and he does it every time.
Oh, he definitely does deliver. And one of the biggest shocks was you pinning him last year for the Water City Championship. That was one of those things that
nobody thought.
It was one of those things we've seen this. We've seen Joey Avalon and Salem Crane for a while now. I mean, there's something new that has to be happening here. And then when Hugh got the 1, 2, 3, I was just like, this was not the new I was expecting. But at the same time, I'm not complaining. That was one of those transitions, man. We were getting so blown up towards the end. I think we went on for almost 25-30 minutes that night. And there were a couple, for us, again, I've talked about it, we had a couple of those little flubs, little screw-ups, but we covered it so well. He covered it even better than me because, again, Joey Avalon.
But that final sequence we had was one of the most fun things I've had happen in a match. It was constant reversal after reversal into his crazy Europeans that he's doing. And right when he did his roll through is when he had me. He called that spot for me to just catch him right when he got up for the DDT out of nowhere. And then the best was the crowd reaction, because instantly Dylan knew I was now a babyface. It was a very weird feeling. Like we thought it would just be those echoes of boos like normal, because I'm so accustomed to getting booed because I work really hard to be a hated heel. I don't want to be a liked heel. That's too. Buy my merch, yes. I'm all about making a buck, but I'll be that guy. I know some vets frown upon that, but I'm here to make money, man. And it was surreal. Like, it was instantly babyface. So I remember getting through the curtain and Dylan goes, "Well, that screws up our plans for the next 8 months. They should have babyface now." And then we had to test the waters right after that and just see if it was if it was just that night or really was a babyface turn. So it's me and good old Stash Swans out there, dude. He is the man. And then Coda Jacobs. I could go on about him forever too. There's so many guys around this area that characters, man. I'm so big on characters. And Coda on paper, you hear politician, and I'm like, whatever. This guy's a little politic guy. He's not. He'll be whatever. I think he gets so much heat anywhere he goes, just because of his Coda Jacobs. I will give you a thumbs up, and I am this man, and I talk this way. You won't like. I don't. When he opens his mouth, I don't like. And character. I mean, Coda. Jake, the man, the person, yes. When he's this character, I genuinely get bothered. He makes me mad. He's one of the best heels around. He makes me so mad. So that triple threat he couldn't have gotten more heat that night to get me over as a baby. So it was like he was the cement on, like, Avalon set me up for this amazing success. And then I had those two guys in Schwann's and making me look like $1 million as a baby face, and Coda just cementing it with him being so hated and us getting that big payoff. I was so nervous that night because they had this huge program. Like, they went on for about a year, and like, why are you just throwing me in this storyline? Like, they need to have their big payoff. But we did the mustache ride. That's the goal. We need this mustache ride for Schwann's. He's got to get Coda. And at least we got to give everybody that. The fans just ate that mustache ride up. That was so fun to be in there. But the big clap build up with Stash stomping in the corner. Oh my God.
It's just those kind of moments that make wrestling absolutely
It's so
fun.
dumb.
Wrestling is dumb, but that's why we love it.
I hate it. It sounds like you're talking about, like, how we're talking right now. If I talk to this, like, some random person on the street, I was in this ring once, and this guy all these hundreds of people were so excited to see this guy ride this other guy's face. It sounds like a horrible trip to Mexico. It's awful.
I will say this, that one set of people that I definitely noticed that is great supporters is your parents, because I do remember an interaction. I think it was either with your dad or with your mom. I just remember just booing you or something like that.
Probably my dad.
My dad was like, "Oh, you hate." It's like, "You hate Salem Crane." It's like, "Yeah, he's a douchebag." And it's like, "Well, that's my son." I'm like, "Oh shit!" It was one of those things.
One of the funniest ones is my grandma is this full-blooded Italian woman. And the show with Cross, like that big payoff with him is, I want to work him again so bad. Because I was real green when we finally got to have our singles thing, but my grandma came. She never goes to wrestling shows. She's 86, full-blooded Italian lady, still bowls every week. She's the best. She's fully there. She's fully engaged, but she does not understand how wrestling works at all. So my group of Racine. I'm from Racine originally, in Kenosha area. I grew up in Kenosha more than Racine. I'm born Racine. I will always say Kenosha because I love Kenosha to death. But a good 15, 20 of my friends are there because they don't get to see me wrestle too often from back there. And it's me versus Cross, which they know is the biggest deal ever to me. And there's my grandma over in the corner with my other cousins. And they are just booing me to death. Just chirping and chirping. And my grandma just freaks out. "That's my grandson." Don't say that. Don't do that, Grandma. And then she knows the people she's yelling at is the best part. Two of my best friends are Josh and Jordan Wolf from down there. They're twins. And she knows those faces. We've hung out since we were 3 years old. You know these kids. And, "That's my grandson. Don't boo him." God, stop. But yeah, my dad's unfortunately sometimes the same way. Just kick his ass, Seabass, is his go-to. And watch Dumb and Dumber another time, Dad.
I was going to say, I didn't realize that your grandmother was a big fan of Adam Sandler. That's my grandson.
That's fair. Maybe it's just embedded in my subconscious. I did have a pact with my 12-year-old self to watch every Adam Sandler movie ever. And then Jack and Jill happened, and that was the end of that. Jack and Jill was the end of that.
There's only so many comedians that can do the guy dressed up as a woman deal.
Right.
Robin Williams was one, Tyler Perry's number 2.
Yep.
Other than that, there's every other time it's just a mess.
When he would do the Gap Girls, I was fine with it. Probably because of Farley.
Oh, so Chris
Yeah,
Farley's
Gap
the
Girls,
man.
Gap Girls was fine. But, yeah, once he did Jack and Jill, I was out. So no, I'll still catch him occasionally, but nothing tops Big Daddy for myself. Big Daddy.
I think I remember, this is a really funny story, that I watched Billy Madison with my dad, and there were so many moments where he was just like, what exactly is the story going on here? Because at first I was thinking, like, okay, well, he's got to complete every single grade within 2 weeks, but then I find later on, no, every grade is 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, so he's got like 6 months to kind of do this, and okay. Well, that could have not been more clear. It was just one of those things where as time
I always wish for a pointless sequel for no reason. Like, I just want to see a Billy Madison sequel. It would be awful, but I definitely would pay money.
Billy Madison goes to college. Just telling all the teachers, shut up. That's the one thing I always get from Billy Madison is just how he says shut up. He's always just
There's all the old Sandler lines, dude. That's all he had. There's just his noises and how he would yell. I got way off track.
I'm
just seeing countless Sandler memes in my head right now.
This is kind of one of those things where not only getting to know the wrestling side of you, but also other things you like. You mentioned, that is the main thing. Well, you mentioned that you love Sega. What was like some of your what was like your top 5 favorite games?
I played a ton. Like Sonic the Hedgehog's obvious. I'm a big Nintendo guy too. Like I've even gotten more into Nintendo as I've gotten older. Somehow don't have a Switch. Like I don't game as often as I don't even want to say I should. I got so much going on all the time. I got wrestling, daily reality, like life, and I like to go places. I like to travel a lot. But Sega. I was so big, like I was obsessed with my Dreamcast. That was like one of the most, I guess, consoles, like that console I probably spent the most time on as a kid is what I'm trying to say. And Power Stone, do you remember that?
I don't think
Power Stone and
so
Power
familiar.
Stone 2, it was like a 3D fighter game. It was the first thing, like you could rip off a light post and just beat somebody with it. And it was a really fun game, especially when you play it with friends, because you could play with up to 4. God, the Royal Rumble game from Jerry was huge for me. I played so much of that. And of course, it reflects in my wrestling because I just go out of the ring too much. It was from that game. It was like the first one you could go backstage and have the fights. And that's all I would do in that game. It's just be The Rock or Stone Cold, drag whoever I was working, go out and back and just fight them to death. Just find a little forklift. You can drive a forklift. Right. It's so stupid.
Well, that's why a lot of people love like SmackDown. Here Comes the Pain.
No Mercy. I have an unpopular opinion with the N64 games. Probably because I played it more. Everybody rated like No Mercy is a phenomenal game, no doubt. But for some reason, for me, WrestleMania 2000 was far more played. I played that game to death, and I remember it was one of those games where I'd play it way too late, and your parents come and check if you're sleeping. I'd have my TV on real low, but back in that game, the whole TV screen would take over the entrance. Like if somebody ran in on your match. Oh, sure. Anytime Undertakers would come on, shut my TV off. Done. I would get so creeped out. Don't know why. Like I was maybe like 2010, 11 years old.
Yeah, I think for me it was the
It freaked me out so bad.
I think it was the WWF Raw for the regular Xbox.
Yep.
And it was the Kane entrance when he had that like the eerie kind of music coming out.
Was that the Unmasked end?
That was when he was still masked. I think it was like late 90s.
Dude. Now Kane that's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time too. If I had to lay out my favorites, I'm a big Mick Foley guy. That's my number one. So that con was huge for me. Getting to actually, meet your heroes in this line of work, I guess you could say, lifestyle. That one was pretty surreal because that was one you never think some of this stuff's going to happen, and for it to actually happen. It's one piece of pizza with him. We didn't hang out. I didn't talk his ear off or anything, but just have a piece of pizza, and he actually watched a couple minutes of what we did. Interesting.
That's pretty cool. I know that before he came to WrestlingCon, I was in New York for WrestleMania, and I remember talking to him about that. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's gonna be a fun time. Get
He's so nice.
But it was also really cool because that was actually the third time in a year that I got a chance to talk with Noelle, who was an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, she was really great that day, too.
And Frank is just absolutely amazing.
Yep. Frank's hilarious, dude. We did Dylan took me down to a show we did in Illinois for, God, I can't remember the name of the company, but Doug was down there, Doug Simmons. He's another big Ryan Cross guy. Doug Simmons is just the man, big bodybuilder dude, great shape, great wrestling trainer. Hey, guy.
What's up, big kid?
Yeah, we're recording.
Yeah,
sorry,
didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, you're good, man.
But, we did a show down there, and I got to meet Frank for the first time, and he's just so funny. You know, he was so hated. He got so much heat just by being Noelle's boyfriend and the painted guy at shows. Like, he would just dress up as a clown and get recognized at wrestling shows. So to see him transfer into the independent realm and actually just get heat based off that is hilarious to me. Because he's the nicest guy in the world.
He really is. Yeah. Frank is one of those guys.
Have him at that Rumble, too, was hilarious.
You're just getting thrown out. Oh, my gosh. So at the Comic-Con, I do remember this, and it was so funny because all these kids were just laying into him. They were just going crazy. And literally, I'm just right next to Noelle. We're just talking, and it's just like, does this happen frequently? She's like, yeah, this is kind of a natural thing at this point.
I think it's just part of life.
And I think I even did like the fake out handshake with him. Yeah. He's like, oh, I see how it is. Yep. So many great moments with Frank. I honestly, if I could put like top 5 Frank moments I've had with him, that would be one.
It's one I'd love to actually do something with at some point.
Oh my gosh!
I'd say just like even I never really had a manager before. I know he does that down at like Warrior and some of the Chicago companies he works for. I just think it'd be hilarious to be paired up. I think we'd have a lot of fun. So maybe someday. Who knows?
Maybe that's how you you turn heel. He comes out as your manager for one time and then you just DDT. Either that or you get cheered even more because you're Noelle's boyfriend. One more like the boys are just.
Oh, hi. How are you? All right, man. How are you? Thanks.
Hello, sir.
How's it going, my good
Bath
son?
and Body.
Oh, sorry,
You're fine.
No, you are totally fine.
There's edits. You can leave it in if you want to.
I mean, no, we're definitely leaving this stuff. So because if you remember in the Colucci interview, I actually had the Heroes actually made a cameo during that one. It's one of those things like, I don't want to edit this stuff. I like to leave it raw. It makes it that much more real. It makes it that much more fun. So we had Big Cat's and Aaron Arsenal just show up to this. So, I mean, Big Cat's already got his interview in, so. But Big Cat's all right.
He's all right.
He is. Oh, my boy XTC's in the ring. Nice.
Yeah.
Now we're just going into wrestling commentary for this interview.
They're stealing my Sunset Bomb. That's fine. I mean, I showed it to him. That's fine. Whatever.
Well, I mean, it could have been the Canadian Destroyer. I mean,
no, please stop.
Well, then again, everybody's doing that nowadays. It's just absolutely crazy.
Just spots and spots and spots and spots. All right, gentlemen.
What's up, dude? And now we just had a referee coming in, Simon Diamond. This is a great way to start off 2021. I was just saying.
Recording.
Oh, you are totally fine, man.
Hi, Josh. Everybody's saying hi.
What's up, Weimer?
Good. All right, we're good.
I don't even
know where we're at. Now. Get back to the question.
We were talking about video games for a while.
Video games, that was my bad.
And then we were talking about Frank.
Yeah, I'm a little sporadic. I'm sorry. Yeah, Sega. Went Sega. We covered that. N64.
Yeah, N64.
Of course, GoldenEye, man. GoldenEye is the goat of games. That is the best. I remember countless spring breaks with my cousin Michael and Chad, where we would just play that to death. There were all these screen hoppers back then.
Oh, yeah.
Those cheaters. Their proximity mines. Get out of here with that. Can't use Odd Job either. Nobody's using Odd Job. It's not fair.
Oh, man.
Games, that was way more a big part of my life growing up, and like even early 20s. I played way too much of the 360, but nowadays it's once in a while. I get too mad. I don't have the time to put in to be really good at Madden or something anymore like I used to be, so I just get angry. And then
well, I will say this. We were talking about your film editing earlier on, and I will say this, guys. If you've not seen his stuff that he's put up for his promos, they're absolutely awesome. They're absolutely crazy. Just love the fact that you have like this little carousel that goes on for it.
Hey, nice shake. No, it's fine. Best handshake in the biz. Porn stash Peter Schwann's. Putting him over even harder than I did earlier. Because it's true. It's like a go-to. Every time, best handshake.
He definitely has a really good firm handshake. That just tells me that. Never mind. Yeah. But no, a lot of that film editing that you had in there, I was really impressed by that. And I still want to figure out like your original theme song. Why you went from that one to the one that you have right now, your new one that you have right now.
I love it was our Delirium music. So it's me and Ethan just went crazy pitching music to Dylan like over and over and over. We had countless ideas, even names. It took us so long to come up with a name. There was just this running joke of what was this stupid Ethan? He's over there. I want to steal you for this question because we've unfortunately covered some Delirium talk.
That's unfortunate.
But yes, I know.
Hey, you guys came out the other side.
We did. We put ourselves over.
Are we on?
Yeah,
we're on. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the first awful name they tried to give us before Delirium.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. You can say shit. Even.
Oh, can I? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
I wasn't. Yeah, I was
it was
trying
like was it Carnival?
Oh man,
Carnival was one.
I don't really remember the names that they tried to give
Carnival was
us.
the worst. That was.
And then like one day we were just at camp and then got there.
We looked at a lot of synonyms for words.
Yeah.
We did a lot of Rhyme Zone, and then we.
You ever see that movie with Eric Foreman about us? The Delirium movie? It's like not terrible. I mean, it's not good. But
it's kind of like Delirium.
Yeah, and it's definitely about us, you know.
Not terrible, not good.
It came out like in 2018, so it's definitely like they you know.
I need to watch this.
Yeah,
I might have flashbacks.
We inspired.
Had some during
what's Eric Foreman's real name?
Topher Grace.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. I shouldn't know that. That's useless. I remember. I think Carnival's the one I was trying to think of, because then I was just going on about how we just scounded the internet for music and we couldn't find anything. So you just asked me why I switched, and I'm like, I can't really be a baby face too much with our creepy music that we had. And I mean, I ran it to the ground. Like I'm like, I can't keep doing the Delirium music. That was my mental state out of it.
Right.
Into the ground.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, then I'm obviously a huge Avatar nerd. That's how that happened with the music change. I just love it. I remember the first time I heard it was with little Skylar Joy, and we talked about that like the day they just randomly dropped that album on Spotify. And then Colossus was the first song we played, and I was obsessed, and I needed to make it work in the music. I asked Joey Jet Avalon if he thought it could work, and it was an I don't know thing, and I kind of hashed it to make it a little shorter, and then I just played with the video until I liked it.
Until something stick, basically.
Do we drop what our original music actually was? Or do I just keep that mysterious forever? Only a handful of people have actually ever caught it, what we did.
Oh, what the actual file is? No, they don't even know.
Okay. Hey, we're still a tag team at heart, so.
Well,
I can't hate you.
They don't know what we're doing today, right?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't even know what we're doing today. Stuff. We'll figure it out.
I was just saying, if you want to really annoy him, just give him the nickname Limpy McGee.
Yeah, dude.
Because it was like
my heel, classic suplex, just like an green kid, dumbass.
Yeah. Did Dis chop the fuck out of you last night? Or no?
I asked
him
wonderful.
To,
and it was awesome. It was
wonderful.
A lot of fun.
Got a target for this evening, then.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
We'll do that. All right, I'll catch up with you. All right,
just a
start. Yeah, music. We can go music and edits. But yeah, that was the beginning of it. Was just knowing especially after the Avalon feud, I wanted to turn over a new leaf and have like a mental new beginning. So I wanted new music to match and be more exciting and far less creepy, I guess, because it just needed to happen in my head. And then I remember pitching it to Weimer, and Weimer just loved the music. Dylan will never acknowledge if he likes anything by mine, which I appreciate, because he makes me challenge myself with that. I'll just always use the word shitty in front of something that you do good. So like me, I'll think my shitty Blue Thunderbomber, my shitty knee. Like that's always how he describes it if we've ever talked out a match together. Nothing's ever good. It's just shitty. But yeah, the music, I just fell in love with that song. And there's Skylar right now. It's perfect. Oh, he's gone. He's going to come say hi.
Trust me. He's the
metalhead king. He's the one who's given me so much music to listen to, so many songs. And that was a big one. Was when I heard, once I heard Colossus, I knew I had to go with it.
It is one of those things where I've really come to realize that picking a theme song is not easy.
No, especially that's the match. Luckily, like Avatar, like Carney's at heart too. So it's like that's kind of it was a nice mesh. I know we've talked about him in the past. For me, Sin Bodhi's a huge influence. Formerly, we don't have to put WWE on him. I know he says kill Kazan. But I kind of like to look at a mix of Avatar versus the stuff he does, because he'll always have Warlord of Weird. I can't do as crazy weird stuff as he does. He's way better at it than I am. He's better at most things than I am, probably everything, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I try. But I like blending my fascination with the carnival from being a kid up until my adult life. I've just always liked that realm of show. I remember even when we were Delirium, that people would just make constant Greatest Showman references, and Inside would make me laugh so hard. But I'm like, I don't want that. Like, we're not a musical, but it would make me laugh. It's like, I've seen the movie a million times. I'm not a big musical guy, but I'm a huge Hugh Jackman guy.
Well, there we go. You know, it is funny you talk about the circus deal. I'm surprised that you didn't join up with the who are they? No. I was talking about the clown duo that was at the first one.
Oh my God!
It was like the Brothers of Dysfunction.
Ruff and Yabo is the Brothers of Funstruction.
What's up, brothers? How's it going, baby? Good to see you.
Hi. Ragnar,
Brother.
We're brothers over there. We didn't brother yet.
Oh yeah, we got a brother with brothers.
Brother.
But
A couple more people that might be showing up, and you never know.
Never know.
I know Skylar is definitely one that he's totally up for it, and I really want to do that. Especially when we talk about Skid's character, that's something
we were just talking about. We see each other all the time, and we were talking about it really in depth last week, and like the fact that it hasn't happened yet is very odd.
It's mind blowing. It really is.
We have like ideas and moves, and just the promo work we feel like we could do alone. I just want to see, but of course, in ring and fan interactions key, but they were just both creatively on the same wavelength with how weird we would like to get. So someday, I'm sure it will happen.
Well, when that day comes, you definitely need to let me know, because I want to be there for that show.
I'll plug the hell out of it.
Yes, definitely. So we're just reaching that hour marker, which I think has definitely put in a lot of content. But I think that there is going to be a part 2 when it comes down to this.
That's fair.
So,
I didn't realize I could talk this much.
Well, we also covered a lot of ground. I mean, you look at everything we talked about with your deal with ACW. Now you're one of the trainers, if I'm not mistaken, for the academy.
I help out. I will never say like Colucci is king. Colucci is
sure.
dad. He does. I will follow his lead. I teach what I have learned from him. I am there for all the extra reps. Like I feel like I have a better brain for it than my body holds up on. I like how my brain's been churning, especially these last 2-3 years now. How I can see matches fold out, and I feel like I can help out to a point. But ultimately, Colucci and Dylan, I will always be their school. Just always listen to Colucci over Dylan.
Well, I mean, the school of Crane of Hard Knocks doesn't really roll off the tongue that well. So.
Oh, that'd be Salem's Lock.
Salem's Lock. There we go.
That's what I wanted to call that match with Gus, but it didn't happen. False count anywhere was fine.
The Salem Lockdown.
That'd be good. I worked in COVID. If we would have just done one at camp, I blew it. Should have done that. Salem's Lockdown.
Well, now we'll have to make sure that gets marketed next time around.
Hopefully, God, please no, not a next time around.
Well,
no more lockdowns.
Well, I mean the match name, not an actual lockdown. So, bottom line is you've accomplished so much in your career right now, and you're the Water City champion right now. As we're recording this, who knows? At this point, I mean, Drake Daniels might just cash in at the end of the night, or he could just be I'm not gonna bury him, but I'm gonna say he might be a chicken shit and just not do it. Because you are teaming up with Adam Grace, the heavyweight champion. Actually, no. I think that they've been calling him. I think they call him the world heavyweight champion now, which is one of those things where it's like, okay, that's new. I'm not gonna disown or anything like that. If they want to say they're world champion, hey, I'm fine with that. It works.
I'm good with it. He's all right.
I mean,
he's a friend. We can say.
He's a friend.
We had some good time. Bare Bones was a blast.
Yeah, I was
that too. That was one of my. I know we're getting over that hour mark, but that Bare Bones show was so much fun with him, man. We both had that childhood memory of Stone Cold just killing beers. So to kill beers in a wrestling ring at a brewery was pretty phenomenal. Weimer telling us to pay for the dry cleaning on the mic as they're walking out too. Sorry, guy.
Sorry, not sorry. So when all is said and done, and you're looking back on your career, you're riding off into the sunset, what do you want people to remember you most for when it comes to Salem Crane, the character, or just as you as a person, as Matt?
The person's always that's always the main focus. I'm a big reality before wrestling guy. I like to. That's what these
guys up come and even say hello here. They all know me as Matt first. I'm a pretty easygoing, timid dude. I like to just live my life. I love my home life. I love my lady to death. Love spending time with her more than anything. Just have fun. I just want to, I guess, be remembered for that fan interaction, like that, how me and you have gotten to know each other with where we're at. Like putting, whether it's smile or tears, depending if I'm babyface or heel on the night. I've made kids cry. That was always a goal, and I got to knock that off the list. I've gotten fans that cheer up for me. It's all these things have happened, but the classic leave wrestling in a better place if I'm able. I know I'm just a little local indie guy. I'm not a crazy name by any means, but I think that's why I've gotten so involved in the camp and training is that future of wrestling, always kind of paying it forward, doing what I can to make them better. And the guys that gave that to me, like you got your Joey Avalon, look what he did for me. Look what Stash has done for me. Look what Gust and Smash and Dylan and Colucci. All those guys paved the way for me. They helped me out. Why can't I help somebody else out? So wrestling-wise, I guess I'd want to be remembered for that helping hand and just always wanted to pay it forward. I want to be remembered as a good person for real-life stuff. I never really want to have problems with anybody.
Well, hey, those are the legacies that last forever. I mean, best case in point is Brody Lee. The guy was like super nice behind the stage and always tried to make everybody look good, and he definitely did.
That's the goal, man. It's mind-blowing what happened there, but never had the pleasure of meeting him. Just, of course, watching him work. His Intercontinental title reign was way too short, but still one of my favorites of all time. That was one that I talked to Dylan about when I was even putting together a moveset when I first started. His discus line, his big boot, man. That was also my old look. That was the last resort when I first started. Was I didn't want to do jeans, but that's why I got the plaid pants and I had the same gray tank top, and then I just threw suspenders on. He was a big influence too, but it's crazy. The Wyatt family, obviously. I've stolen a million Bray Wyatt things, and he's also beat me to the punch on ideas I've had. I was going to bring out a mallet against Gust, and then couldn't do the mallet because he did it at Hell in a Cell or whatever it was. Or when he switched to the Fiend with those black and red striped pants. No, I can't do that. Not that he'd ever know or anyone would ever care. I just would never want to hear it from even one fan. I'm always trying to at least be different. You steal your moves from little guys here and there, or try to come up with something original, but I feel like everything's always been done.
Yeah. Well, also bear in mind that there's always going to be those times where you see the big-time wrestlers usually pay homage to like some of the big pop culture stuff. Like Rey Mysterio does a lot of WrestleMania emphases where he does Captain
Rollins
America.
with his Power Ranger suits.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
It got me. I love it.
It's actually crazy. Is that down in Rockford, I'm getting built up as having a matchup with one of the guys there, Matt Jones, and I said to him, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be having a shirt, shovel, and bandana. I'm going to be basically paying homage to Joey Avalon for that one. I know future one I want to do Rosemary's Decay deal, so I just got to find the right one.
Obviously up my alley.
Oh my gosh, she's absolutely amazing.
I like the creepies.
She's also really cool to meet in person too. She really is. Honestly, it's one of those things where if all goes right, I really want to push to get, if I can get both of them, if I can get Allie and Rosemary to come to ACW, that'd be great. But if I could just get Rosemary to come down, that would be amazing.
Right.
And it's going to be awesome. But we're near the end of the markers, so what I like to do for anybody that comes on here is to definitely, if you have any places or things that you like to plug, social media, shows that you got coming up, or just anything.
Shows around the social medias. You just search Salem Crane on whatever. If I'm posting it, you'll find it. I'm not a huge. I'm 31. I don't use Twitter. I have one, but you guys don't have to. Don't look at me on Twitter. I use Instagram when I have wrestling things. I'm mostly a Facebook guy. Of course, my promos I care about. The shows, but
those would be on Facebook only.
Yeah, always Facebook, and then hopefully the shares come. ACW is very kind with sharing my work, and other feds that I will post them for, like RCCW shared mine plenty. Ben McCoy will share my stuff. Anybody? It's just search Salem Crane on whatever. I think I got an underscore on some of them, but if you search Salem Crane, I'm sure you'll find some weird, chubby face painted guy.
Well. Beautiful thing is I think a lot of people are definitely going to be sharing this episode. So guys, definitely take the time to share this episode for Salem Crane. Definitely want to know if you
talk a lot. I'm sorry.
No, you are totally fine.
Rambling.
we definitely, if you guys want to hear part 2 with Salem Crane, let us know in the comment section. Give a like.
Clearly
Listen
I
on
can do it.
Just leave some comments. Look at the description for all the places you can find me. On Twitter, it's at RealFNGame, also on Instagram. But this has been another ACW highlighted interview featuring Salem Crane. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for doing this, man. I know we've been pushing this for so long.
Yeah,
it just reached a point where it's like, we have to get this done.
Last thing, Shane Hills, you still owe me a pizza. You listen to this. It's the only one. I'm trying to think. There's so many guys I want to pay respect to. But Shane Hills, you buy me a pizza.
For Salem Crane, I've been NateFNGreat from the Game Changer Podcast. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe. Be smart. You can make a difference one day at a time by being a game changer. Have a good one, guys.